Quick amateur video on how to get the LED lights, well, halogen swap outs from the Kia Stinger, reverse lights. So from what I believe, the halogen reverse lights are the only halogen lights on the vehicle, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me 100% sure on that. So this tutorial, it's coming from Rob's32 on the Kia Stinger forums. He has a detailed information listing on how to remove and swap them out. So I'm just starting here. It's -4 up here in Canada, so I'm in the garage working out. First thing we have to do is remove the panels. 2 panels, one on each side, which will expose the bolts and gain access to the system for removal there. So the tools that Rob had stated are needed. It's a pointy long nose pliers there, 10mm socket, ratchet, extender, and then the ratchet itself. So that's what's needed to get there. I got a screwdriver because the plastic tools that you're supposed to have, this one came with my dash cam last year for another vehicle. For some reason can't find my other plastic tools, and I'm out of luck until the dash cam for this vehicle comes in. So I'm using this and then little small tools here to pry it open. So I'm going to work, I already got it a bit out of the way because I had to measure which one was which. So I'm just doing a bit slowly, popping it out and starting from the bottom, because one of the users also on the forum mentioned if you start from the bottom it works out a bit better. So I just needed to get that open, and then I'm going to slowly work my way around with a plastic tool as to not damage. Right, so, oh yeah, yikes. So that's what you have to be careful with. It's okay, the other side is still intact, so it's no problem there. But my suggestion is you work from the slit, work your way halfway down, and then work your way back around, because that's where it looks like it's coming from. So no loss there, but it's okay. So now let's expose the left side of the vehicle. I'm going to go ahead and do the right side now. If I can get this one out, no problem. Get this one out, work your way out. Yikes. Yeah, so these plastic clips break pretty easily, so I damaged one of the sides on it. That's the thing, you gotta be very careful with this. Seems to be breaking quite a bit. So you're gonna take the 10mm ratchet and extender and get these little bolts out there. There's about 3 of them. 1, 2, 3, and then you want to get those out and take out the connector there. Same to do with the other side. So I just removed one of the connectors. It wasn't pulling, so I figured there might have been a latch, and there is a latch you have to press on. It's a little soft part on the sides, so you have to locate that latch. And I was wondering why it wasn't pulling. Usually they just come out, so you want to make sure you're not pulling, but rather pressing on that latch on the side. It's a little squishy, so you'll know the difference, and then once you press it in, it'll just come straight out. So I want to first locate that latch. So now that's pulled out, I'm going to go ahead and take out the bar. So usually it just pops out here, so you want to get one side popped out. So I'm going to lower it a bit, just to get that a little easier to access. So you want to be very gentle with this because it's all in one piece. Take it out, and here we are. This is the lighting. Alright, so what the instructions say next to do is to take out the light socket area. So right in this one here, you'll be able to twist it and then pull it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that really quick. Get my lights ready here. So slightly righty tighty, lefty loosey. So I was instructed to cut a bit of the foam so you can access it. I'm going to see if I can do it without. Well, looks like I should cut a bit of the foam because it does restrict it from coming out. So I'm cutting from the lights to the little red tab there, just a bit, just so I can get that little foam piece out. It'll be easier with pulling it out. I don't have to fully cut it off. I just have to get a little slit so I can get the wires through it. Because that's essentially what's stopping me from pulling it out. Well, that sucks. The bulb ended up coming out of the housing. It's my kind of day. So now it's inside the housing. So I've got to flip it over and hoping this bulb will come out slowly. Wow. All this for reverse LEDs. It's crazy what I have to do. So this is the bulb here. So if I'm not mistaken, they just go in either way. So the tricky part here is it's quite long. So if you can see here, it's very long, so longer than the original bulb by a significant amount. I have to stick it in a bit first. Actually, looks like I have to cut a bit more foam out. Okay. As you can see over here, I had to cut it all the way up to the socket that we were cutting out earlier. And now I'm just putting the foam all back together. It's actually quite an ordeal for this one. Not as simple as other bulbs to swap out and such, but what can you do? It's the price you pay. So that process is done. I'm going to go ahead and do the other side now, and hopefully that fares a bit better since I know how to do this one. Alright, so I'm back with it here, and I've got it all done. Gotta say, this has been a bit tougher than it is with replacing bulbs for other vehicles, but very sensitive, this little rear reverse light swap is. So I'll be putting it back on. So the most important part, they said, is to be careful with placing it back in, because it should just naturally go back in there. So I'm going to go ahead and slowly put it back in. Go into its slot. You just got to guide it through. Don't be putting force on it, because it's going to snap things. So left went in. Nope, that's not going through. There we go. So the reason why I wasn't going through was at the bottom of each, there's a little guard that's blocking it. So the bottoms have to be first connected in from the bottom right and the bottom left. So you have to sort of angle it, push in, and then slide it a bit to the opposite side, and then put it in. That's why when I first put in this side, it wasn't going in on the left side was a bit short. So if you angle it, you just get those guards in first, a little slit. Yeah, so push it in a bit more. I was wondering why there's a gap. So you just want to push it in a bit more, make sure that's fully set into place. No gaps in between. Be careful. I'm going to be breaking any clips there. So I'm going to go ahead and put it back together. So I'm going to start with the connectors first. But before we do that, I want to go ahead and test it out to make sure that the reverse lights are working. So I don't want to be putting it all back together and find out they're not connected or the bulbs are broken, right? So it was a big success for it. Had it tested out, so white bright lights. It's pretty good. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to put the bolts back together, put it on, and then should be good. Aside from the housing for the compartment area breaking the cover, I think it fairly went well. I mean, I got too much of a large bulb, so I had to really cut past the tutorial information that Rob32 had put up. So he had cut up to the small little red tab, there, but I had to cut all the way up to the socket that connects it to the wiring harness here. So that was a big mistake that I did. Was I guess I got too long of an item. And I really had to first put in, what I had to do first was I had to put in the left side, I mean the bulb in first, and then put in the connector. The connector, like, is at an angle because you can't, it's too long for it, and the wiring is too short, so you can't angle it properly. So you have to sort of pin the LED to the siding of the housing and then put in the connector and then squeeze in, hoping that it would go in. So I was hoping, like, I fully put it in, so I'm hoping that it would stay there. I mean, if any issues do occur, then like it comes off and bumps off. I put it in pretty nice, so it wasn't any play with it moving around, so should be okay. So I'm in the middle of putting it back on. Just wanted to say, you got to be careful with how tight you bolt it back on. So I noticed that it wasn't tight when I had to take it out. So I'm assuming it's a reason to it, because there's no washer on it. So if you bolt it too tight, it might snap. And there you go, you got to replace it. So just be careful. It's there to just secure it. I noticed the back ones are very hard to reach. So you can sit in your trunk, you can go from the side. Mostly I just have to lean back on it and reach it. This was the part I had the most trouble with. So we shall see. I had to manually put it in. Yeah, so this one, so I have to manually do that one. There you are. Hopefully there's no play. If there's play, then I'll just tighten it back. But I'm tightening it to a point where I first come through resistance, and that's when I stop. Oh, I'll do it one last time just to make double check and. Alright, so that's it for that one. Just give it a good punch to put it in. So, I mean, it looks good. So I have no complaints there. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go ahead and put it in reverse and show you what it looks like. So that's what it was with the reverse lights on. I tested it out earlier, so I think it's really good. If you have any questions to how I did it, the manual I'll link as well to how it was done. Rob's32 on the Stinger forum. Great stuff. So just a quick video on it. Hopefully gives you a bit of insight on what to do there.